So, in this recorded performance, I will be demonstrating emotionally focused therapy with our couple. As a bit of like a case conceptualization, we can use the interactional behavior cycle or the interactional cycle between the two couple, where Jose would be categorized as the withdrawer. He tends to retreat and leaves the house for days at a time, and also like potentially a bit of frustration and anger. So that's one of the techniques that we're actually going to be using, is to help validate some of those fears, explore the emotion behind, and then to go even further, we're going to be maybe hitting some of those unmet attachment needs, which for Jose is looking like not being enough or having that fear of failure. Then on the other hand, we'll have Rosario as more of the pursuer. Some of her action tendencies and kind of cognitive appraisals look like complaining and insulting when she tries to reach out for more connection. She kind of doubts his love at this point in the relationship, or when this part of the cycle is happening. And at the unmet attachment need for Rosario, it does look like abandonment or being all alone, similar to her childhood experience. So we'll be exploring that interactional cycle. And so the specific techniques that we're looking to do is, first, we're going to establish a goal for the session collaboratively as a couple. And just on the surface, that's going to be getting clarity to what's happening in this interactional cycle. I'll also be demonstrating empathy and a lot of reflection to build our therapeutic alliance. And then the actual techniques that I'll be using is going to be attending to, focusing, and reflecting on emotion, also looking to validate these emotions. One, to continue to build this choreographer stance as an EFT practitioner, but also to allow the clients to have a better understanding of where their emotions are. And then we'll also explore those fears. So again, those techniques are identifying the interactional cycle and then validating, exploring fears. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, good. So Rosario and Jose, let's maybe we can get started with what's been going on recently.
Well, we're recently separated. We have 2 grown children together, and they've recently moved out of the house. And since they've moved out, things between us just haven't been going well. And he leaves the house for days at a time, so I don't really know what to do with that.
Yeah, and I can tell you're a little frustrated, seem a little upset. And I could imagine that when he's gone, being that you guys are separated, I mean, what's kind of the goal right now? Is it to reconcile or something else?
I mean, we have a Catholic background, and so, we don't want to get divorced. We would like to stay together, but right now, we just kind of don't really know how to do that.
Okay. And Jose, what are you thinking on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think my faith tells me I don't want to get a divorce, but we aren't really together at the moment, so it does feel like a weird gray area for us.
And what's keeping you all apart from being able to be together?
I don't know, just I feel like we're at a war constantly, really, at home.
Well, I mean, he leaves all the time, so how are we supposed to be together if he's leaving?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with what's at home, So at home, there's a war there. I just don't want to show up to the war type of thing. So I just leave.
Mm-hmm. Using that word war, I imagine that feels maybe a little intense, or could you describe that, how you feel during that war a little more?
I just feel like when I get home, things escalate quickly between us, and I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to say. I think everything I say is wrong, and it ends up becoming a bigger fight, which is more like that war, like bombs are going off, things are exploding, and I just gotta get out of there.
So it becomes a bigger fight.
Yeah.
And you have to retreat in a way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So what I'm hearing is your way of keeping things at peace is to retreat.
Yeah, I mean, no one can get hurt if you can't can't get shot type of thing. So I might as well not show up.
And no one can get hurt. How?
That's easy for him to say because he's not the one being hurt by it, but I literally tell him that I feel alone and then he leaves. And it's like, I don't know what he expects to come out of that.
And could you describe that alone a little bit more?
Yeah, so, I mean, since our boys have moved out of the house, I just feel like a loss of connection. You know, they're adults, they're out doing their own thing. And so I've tried to kind of reconnect with my husband, and I've told him, you know, like, we should spend time together, we should go and do things together. And like he said, you know, we try to have these conversations, and somehow it just turns into an argument. But at that point, instead of trying to, like, figure it out and, like, stay with me and help me, like, not feel so lonely, he literally just leaves, and we don't get anywhere.
And when that war is happening, to use your words, when that war is happening, what brings y'all back together? How do you know, kind of get back to another day where you're both back in the house?
I mean, he'll just come home whenever he feels like it. And usually kind of the same thing happens again. We'll end up bickering or arguing about something, and then he leaves again. And so at this point, we just don't really know what to do.
So the bickering and the arguing then feeds into leaving again. Does that sound right? Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I do eventually come home, normally later at night, maybe after a couple days, when I feel like it might be safe again. But yeah, like what she said, like it escalates right back up, and then, you know, the only way I'm not gonna, you know, have this argument is if I'm not there. You know.
And I imagine during that frustration and you wanting to leave, that feels like the only way out, right?
Yeah, it does.
And because it feels like right when you said feel safe again, it feels like you've done your job in a way by leaving. It's safe now. You can return and get back into the relationship.
Yeah, I feel like at home, like everything I say is wrong. Everything I try to say is wrong because it always leads to something worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well not say anything. You know,
Yeah, kind of take that place of safety to not feel like it's all wrong. And that makes a lot of sense to try to protect yourself in that way. Now, what I'm hearing though is that your wife feels alone when you are leaving. And so I'm curious, hearing it from that perspective of, yes, you're safe and you feel better, but your wife then feels unsafe. Does leaving the house sound like the right thing to do?
I mean, when you put it that way, no. Like, right out the gate, no. But then when I also think about myself, I feel like with me coming home, I feel like I'm making the house unsafe. Like, we're making the house unsafe together.
Maybe you'll hurt her or say something hurtful.
Right, we have done that. We've bickered before, we've called each other names before, and where we have really hurt each other's feelings. So I feel like maybe I just don't have what it takes to communicate with Rosario in a way where we can just talk things out and not escalate, where we don't have to throw stones at each other. I often fail at doing that every time.
And Rosario, what is coming to mind when you hear him describe that? He fears he doesn't have what it takes to meet your needs or to be able to have a conversation with you.
I mean, I've never told him that, and I've never tried to make him feel that way. So honestly, I don't really understand where that comes from. Like, I mean, obviously I've told him, like, I want to have the conversation, I want to figure this out, I want to work this out, but when his response is to just leave, like, I don't know what else to do with that. And I try to, you know, kind of follow him, or I try to call him when he's gone, and I try to continue the conversation, and he just shuts me out. And so at that point, like, I can't put any more effort into our relationship when you're not letting me in.
It feels like you're calling out to him, you're reaching out for love and attention from your partner, but like you said, he's leaving or he's gone, and so he's not there. So that feels, I imagine, very isolating and very alone.
Yeah. And, you know, it sucks because my parents weren't around a lot when I was a kid. They worked a lot to, you know, provide and put a roof over my head. And so I, you know, felt alone as a child a lot. I felt like, you know, I never really had anybody to talk to. I would come home to an empty house. I kind of had to take care of myself. And so when I met my husband in college, I finally felt like that changed. Like, I have somebody to come home to, I have somebody to talk to. And now all of a sudden, that's kind of been taken away again. And I don't know what to do with it.
Right? And the don't know what to do with it being that emotion of feeling alone and abandoned and wishing that your partner, who used to be this place of support and comfort, could come back in and be enough for you.
Yeah.
And so now, Jose, what comes to mind when you hear Rosario put how she feels when you leave, how it reminds her of those times when she was alone and wishing that it could be like those college times when you guys first met or when you were younger? What is coming to mind when you hear that?
I mean, I do remember those times, and they were great. And I still want to be that person. I want to be there for her. It breaks my heart to hear that she's still alone, even from, you know, all the way from being a child. But like, I don't even know if I can, you know, like.
You said breaks your heart. Could you describe that a little bit more? What do you mean it breaks your heart?
Of course I care about her. You know, I feel like if we were just to get a divorce, we wouldn't be here right now together. So, you know, I do love her. It's just, it feels like there's not a lot of love right now, like, being shown to each other. And I just, at home, when things start to go awry or something, I just don't think I know what to do anymore.
And how does that feel when things are, if they feel awry? I imagine a little bit flustering, maybe overwhelming.
Yeah.
Or how would you describe that?
Those are great. Yeah, exactly that. There's a lot of things going on at once, and my brain is just spinning, and, you know, I feel like I can say anything and it's going to be wrong, so I have to just leave. You know, it's like my own, like, I got the retreat, or like you said earlier. It reminds me of, you know, she brought up her family, and reminds me of my dad. You know, my dad would often tell me I'm a failure, like I'm a loser, and I feel like I can't get this relationship back to being like, I don't know.
Not a failure.
Yeah, not a failure.
And I imagine that having that amount of pressure, and like you said, your mind is spinning, that it feels like you could lose Rosario.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed.
And that would be the failure, would be for this marriage to end, and how devastating that would be for you. To have maybe even your dad's words of saying you're a failure, to even think that those could be true, must be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And paralyzing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know, it's cool that we're here together, but I genuinely don't know how we're going to change this, you know, but we're going to try, at least, to see what happens.
Well, right now what I'm sensing is that we might be getting a clearer and clearer picture of what's happening between y'all during those arguments. You're shutting down and withdrawing from feeling so overwhelmed that you might lose Rosario, that you're taking that initiative, so to speak, to lose her by yourself, knowing that, okay, I'm just going to leave the house, but I'll come back when it's safe. And then on the other hand, I'm hearing you, Rosario, that you're in that aloneness all the time, and that whether he's there and can't connect with you or he's gone, you feel this aloneness. So, as you heard him describe that he has that fear of losing you, how does that make you feel?
I mean, honestly, I don't really understand, because how is he afraid of losing me but also pushing me away at the same time? Like, how can you say you're afraid of losing me when you're the one leaving, you're the one pushing pushing me away, trying to, abandon me in a sense, and yet, like, he's afraid of losing me? Like, I just don't understand how those things can both be true.
So you feel like he's already lost you in a sense?
I feel like he's trying to lose me. Like, I'm trying to constantly, like, get him to come home, get him to talk to me, trying to, like, figure out how we can reconcile this, and he's always pushing me away. So how are you afraid of losing me when you're not putting in the effort to keep me?
So maybe I could have you turn to Jose and just explain that to him.
I don't really understand, because you say you're afraid of losing me or losing this relationship, but you're constantly leaving the house or running away from, like, you're afraid of losing me, I'm not the one leaving.
Yeah. And I think when you put it that way, did that make sense? I can see why that would make sense. But for me, it's kind of like a Band-Aid. It's not a permanent solution. I feel like if I stay and do this, whatever this war with you, this battle, that we're going to get a divorce for what I say or for what you say to me. So if I leave briefly and come back within 2-3 days, I feel like at least we're coming back together, and it's not a permanent divorce. So, like, that's how I see it. I know it might not make sense, but that's like what I feel I have to do to get myself away from saying something that that I'm gonna regret.
I just feel like saying something is better than not talking at all. Not talking at all is not getting us anywhere.
And you even said that, like, something is better. So could you describe that? What might that something be that would help you feel more connected, maybe in those moments when those arguments are happening?
He really just kind of says nothing at all. Like, I've cried, I've yelled, I've, done all the things. I can admit I've insulted him, I've been mean, I've said things that I don't mean, but even through all of that, all I want is a reaction from him, whether it be sadness, anger, I don't care. I just want something from him, and he just is like blank face and literally just walks out, and he's like, and that makes me feel like he just doesn't care. Like, he's not showing any emotion whatsoever. So to me, it feels like he doesn't have any emotion toward our relationship.
And could you hear when Jose was describing that his head is spinning and feeling like he's drowning in a way, how it's because he has so much stake in the relationship that you trying to get a reaction out of him has already shut him down, and that he's gonna retreat to maintain the relationship? Does that make a little sense, hearing it that way?
It makes sense, but I don't know where to go from there. Like, unless he stops doing that, we're not going to get anywhere.
Maybe, like, if instead of him leaving the house, maybe you guys could just retreat to different rooms for a couple hours. Does that sound like something that might be a bit of a compromise that y'all could make?
Even if he were to just kind of tell me in the moment, like, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, like, just give me something. Like, he literally says nothing and just walks away. Like, even if we were to go to different rooms, I think him saying nothing and walking away, just, like, it makes me so mad. Because I'm like, why don't you care? Why are you just you literally just turn around and walk away. I said all these things and you have not a word to say to me.
So the anger is there, and that is not allowing you to see, or it's not allowing you to feel loved in that moment.
Yeah.
So what did you think of that idea of being able to express that you're feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't think I can't do it. Maybe I could do that. It's just in the moment, you know, my heart is like pounding, and she said I look like I have a blank face, which I probably do, but like on the inside, I'm like screaming. Like I want to just yell, but I just won't do it. Just can't do it.
Because like you said, you don't want to say something that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back to get a divorce. Yeah. You don't want to have that final blow or the final yell that ends this relationship and for you to be lost from her forever.
Right. It's almost hard to believe when she says, I want to hear something. It's like, you know, I could just like scream, I could yell as loud as I can, and you know, I could say something wrong. I could really mess up and regret what I said. So on the inside, again, my heart's pounding and my head's spinning, and I gotta go. Or something bad is gonna happen, and I don't want it to happen.
So maybe I could have you turn to Rosario and just explain what's going through your head when y'all are in the heat of the war.
Okay. So when we're arguing and things start to escalate, all that I'm thinking about is what do I have to say next for us to be okay again? And I never have the answer. So that's when I start to think more, and you know, of course, escalation gets higher, the voices start getting louder, and I can't, and it gets worse, and I have no idea what to say. So that's when I say to myself, I gotta go. And that seems like it's worked for me. I know it's not working for her, as she was saying, but it really helps me calm down, and my heart stops beating super fast, and I can calm down. But it takes a while for me to calm down. Like I'll be gone, and I'll just think about what just happened, and I feel like a loser that I constantly do this to you.
I'm never asking you to find the answer, though. Like I'm not asking you to figure out in 2 words how to fix our relationship. Obviously, if we knew how to do that, we wouldn't be here. But your silence also is only pushing us further apart.
And so I'm still hearing a bit of that, the silence and the anger that he doesn't know what to do. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, because he's supposed to be like the man of our house, the man of our relationship. It's his role to take care of me, to make room for my emotions, to, you know, run our business, run our household. And right now he's not doing any of those things.
So that sounds really frustrating. And then to have him kind of disappear for a while kind of adds on, well, now we're going to be further in the hole. How does that sound when you hear that the current cycle you're in, it just goes further in the hole and makes you more and more frustrated?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I finally asked him if we could attend couples therapy, because we don't know how to get out of it, and I know it's getting worse. And you know, we're both afraid of a divorce. We don't want to go there, but if we continue where we're at right now, I don't see another option.
And so what I'm hearing is you're afraid of a divorce, but what for you is that fear?
I mean, for a long time, he was my best friend, and he was the only person in this world that I relied on and, you know, wanted to be around consistently. And it just feels like, you know, since we had kids, those roles changed a little bit, and now that our kids have moved out, I just feel like we don't even know how to be with each other anymore without like a buffer. I felt like our kids were that buffer for a long time.
And so now that the kids are gone, the buffer's removed, and you're having a hard time feeling like you're best friends like you used to be. can you describe that a little bit more? What were some of those things that either you used to be best friends about or that you're having issues with now?
I mean, I used to be able to share my feelings with him or share, kind of what was going on throughout my day. And I used to feel like he actually cared. Like he would listen, he would have a conversation with me, there would be a response there. And now, like I said, he just turns to silence or leaving. Like he doesn't, I don't know, I think a part of him expects every conversation to turn into an argument. So he kind of like preemptively stays quiet.
Turns
so like,
away.
yeah.
So it becomes harder for you to have that best friend around the house, that person that is gonna, you could have told, oh, I'm feeling sad today, and then you'll get that response and have that, that responsiveness from your partner. And even then, I'm hearing like there's not a lot of access to him when he leaves. So that must feel even more angry that, oh, now he's gone, I really don't have that best friend. Does that sound accurate to you?
Yeah.
And hearing it now said as a couple, it doesn't sound like that's what you want to stay in this place where you're alone and frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, a marriage is supposed to be a mutual agreement. And, like I said, we're Catholic, and, there's certain things within our religion and, things that it says about marriage and how a couple should be together. And I just feel like we're not meeting those things. So I feel like not even God really supports our marriage anymore.
Which is a really, I think, powerful statement there. Not even God supports your marriage. What would a marriage look like that God is supporting in your eyes?
I mean, I think at a minimum, being there for each other and being able to support each other.
Being there. And so what is something that, I've kind of heard you say it, that if Jose could just stay in the house, maybe that would be the first step among many more steps to go. But if he stayed in the house when you had gotten to those moments, kind of recognizing that you need your best friend, do you think that's something that, God might look at and approve of?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't want to argue with him anymore. I don't want to, continue having this cycle where I feel like I just scream and yell all the time because he's not hearing me. But at the same time,
And I'm curious, what is he not hearing?
Well, I don't know that he's hearing anything that I'm saying when he just leaves. Like, he gives me no acknowledgement. So, I'll cry, I'll do, and like I said before, he just has no emotion. Like, my, tears, my anger, my whatever is going on, it truly, means nothing to him. Like, he doesn't show anything, like any sort of that he's hearing me, that it's affecting him, that he cares.
And you're saying things like, I want to spend time with you, I want to be near you.
I mean, I've chased him out of the house crying, telling him, please don't leave. And he gets in the car and leaves.
So you're telling him how much you want him to be around. So I could imagine that feels so scary and confusing, and part of what makes you think, or made you share that maybe God's not approving of where the marriage is at right now, because of how confusing that can be, and how alone, once he's gone, and to really feel like I'm abandoned.
Yeah.
And so Jose, what's going through your mind as you hear Rosario describe that feeling of chasing you, or the experience of chasing you out of the house, wanting her best friend? What's going on?
Well, earlier, that's kind of the first time I've heard her say that she doesn't think God is in our marriage. And I'm thinking about it. I thought, when she said that, immediately I thought about Ephesians 5, and I thought about Jesus telling, men their role of love your wives like I love the church, my Father loves the church. And I'm thinking that I don't do that because loved the church. He sacrificed himself for it, and he didn't just leave. So I am thinking about that. I can't lie. That's actually a really good point that she brought up. That maybe it's not that God's not in our marriage, but maybe I just feel like I'm not doing my duty.
It's a little bit of like conviction is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Or how would you describe that?
I guess exactly that. I feel a little convicted there. But like I said, like in that moment when she said she wants something to see from me, I just want her to know that there is a lot going on. Like I do hear her. It's just I have no idea what to say. Like I can't even have the goal to say it. Like it sits there, and then it only gets worse. Like she said, she chases me out. But I just look at her and I said, I can't do this.
So I'm curious with you mentioning the sacrifice that Jesus makes to love the church. What would you say is the way that he would respond to something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's a good question. I feel like his thing, like he's a patient person, and yeah, calm, gentle. Probably respond with love, of course. So, and even if it is an argument, he still would respond with joy. So it's just learning how to use these positive feelings in a situation where it feels so dire. That's why I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Maybe I did at one point, like she said before, but that was a long time ago. We had 2 kids since then. But I'm willing to try. It's really difficult for me in that situation.
But it does sound like you've had a bit of an epiphany to kind of hear that when you leave, that it really doesn't feel like the right thing to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, what she said, that's right.
Now, how do you feel hearing that he's recognizing now that it's not the right thing to do?
I mean, it feels good to hear. I'm just hoping he can actually follow through with that.
Right, because it's happened so many times, and but it does feel good to hear knowing that he is hearing you in a way now. Maybe it doesn't feel like that in the past, but it does now. Do you have something?
Yeah, I do have something to say. Because it did remind me of Ephesians 5 too, which is also the role of the wife. And I do feel like that, maybe it's 100% not my role to leave my wife. It's definitely not my role. But it's also not my wife's role to like berate me. Like she could speak kindly to me, or, and I will show her maybe a positive emotion, like a smile or something that you want to see something from me. It's just, I don't want to show you anger. I don't want to show you jealousy. I don't want to show you these negative things. I'm afraid these things are what's going to break us.
Well, the only reason I've resorted to all the negative stuff is because I'd rather make you angry than not get any response at all.
Okay.
And that sounds like a great place where we can pick up in kind of our next session as far as what that anger feels like, or how you don't want to show her those things, but that Rosario is grasping for anything that she can get from you. And so I just want to kind of ask, how was this session for y'all? How did it feel, some of the topics we talked about, and do you feel like we got anywhere today?
I mean, it was good to finally hear something about how my husband's feeling or what he's thinking. Like I said, this has been going on for a long time and I get nothing. So, yeah, I mean, it gave me a little bit of hope in that aspect.
Yeah, I think this was good because, no one yelled. I mean, it felt pretty calm. And at one point, I did feel like I wanted to leave again. I can't lie. But, it was very insightful. And I think this was definitely beneficial for us.
Well, those sound like some good things that you were able to hear, that Jose doesn't feel like it was the right thing to do those times. And I'm also hearing that you were happy to be able to be with your wife without an argument.
Yeah.
Or yelling. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick up there next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.